Hello and welcome. My name is Elle. Thank you so much for joining me for another presentation of enrichment programming presented by TI Communities. Today, we will take another look at a prominent Black history figure for our continued celebration of Black History Month by taking a look at scientist, inventor, and educator, Dr. George Washington Carver. If you are joining me live for this presentation, you can follow along at nearpod.com/join. And I'll show you that here, nearpod.com/join. If you'll go to that website, you will be able to log in with the following join code. Now, it doesn't have to be in capital letters. I'm just using capitals to make it easy to understand. So if you are joining me today live, you can again follow along at nearpod.com/join with the join code for students for the letter P like Paul, the letter A like Apple, the number 3, and the number 8. Also, at the end of this presentation, if you would be so kind as to go to the tiny URL, which I am pinning to the presentation, and your feedback on this program and any other programming that I may put on is absolutely welcome. We always love to have feedback on current programming as well as take suggestions on any programming you'd like to see in the future. If you're not joining me live, that's totally fine. You can still pause the tape at any time and complete the activities at your leisure. So that's another great way. All right, well, we have a lot packed into the next 30 minutes, so let's go ahead and get started with our presentation for today. So the first thing we want to do is kind of find out a little bit about who is George Washington Carver. Who was he? George Washington Carver was a scholar, a teacher, and an innovator. Carver took an interest in growing plants at a young age. He studied agriculture and taught at the Tuskegee Institute, a school for African Americans. He noticed farmers were struggling with growing cotton because it was hard on the soil, and he developed a way to rotate crops so the nutrients in the soil could be restored. He went out in the fields to teach the farmers about rotating cotton with sweet potatoes and peanuts. So get ready to watch a vocabulary video about George Washington Carver and his innovation. As you watch and listen, think about how Carver's knowledge of agriculture, that's plants, helped him innovate new ways to grow and use crops. So turn your volume up, headphones on if you have them, and let's get ready to flow to Dr. George Washington Carver.
Three names George Washington Carver. Three names George Washington Carver. Three names George Washington Carver. The dude knew his stuff. Three names George Washington Carver. Three names George Washington Carver. Three names George Washington Carver. Does your farm need
I said three names, George Washington Carver. When things got tough, George just tried hard. He was born a slave in 1864. Near the end of the American Civil War. Back then, it was much harder for black people because they weren't treated like they were equal to white people. But George Washington Carver was ambitious and tough like armor. He was studied agriculture, that's the science of farming. He took it much farther, he knew exactly how to care for the crop, and he loved to do it, so that's what he taught. Yeah, he was a teacher at Tuskegee, a historically black school. He made a mark like graffiti. Down in Alabama, he worked with southern farms, cause he knew that growing cotton left the soil harmed. It took out the nutrients crops needed to grow, so he planted peanuts and sweet potatoes. Hey yo, the system's called crop rotation. It helps small farms and the big plantations. These new crops made the soil rich. The nutrients return. Thanks to Carver's switch. Yo, three names: George Washington Carver, inventor, teacher, and friend to farmers. Crop rotations with sweet potatoes and peanuts. When it came to farming, George was a genius. Three names: George Washington Carver, inventor, teacher, and friend to farmers. Crop rotations with sweet potatoes and peanuts. When it came to farming, George was a genius. We know now, thanks to crop rotation, when farms weren't thriving, Carver saved them. He even built a school on wheels to teach his methods to farmers out in the fields. Now maybe you're wondering what the farmers did with all the potatoes and peanuts that they had to dig. Carver came up with many solutions, ways farmers could eat, drink, and use them, like peanut paint and peanut candy, peanut soap, that came in handy. Sweet potatoes had uses too, milk, shampoo, and a type of glue. At 80 years old, Carver passed away, but he's still admired and celebrated today. Ay, he inspires students of science. George Washington Carver, an agricultural giant. Three names: George Washington Carver, inventor, teacher, and friend to farmers. Crop rotations with sweet potatoes and peanuts. When it came to farming, George was a genius. Three names: George Washington Carver, inventor, teacher, and friend to farmers. Crop rotations with sweet potatoes and peanuts. When it came to farming, George was a genius.
Three names: George Washington Carver. 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 Does your farm need help?
All right, so that was our vocabulary introducing us to George Washington Carver. So they came up with a few different terms here, and we're going to see if we can match these terms. So George Washington Carver came up with a method called crop rotation. And if you think about what the word crop means, what is a crop? Well, if you answered some type of food like corn or broccoli or carrots or even cotton, those would be considered crops, things that we can plant and harvest. Okay. And the word rotation just simply means to turn around. So, crop rotation was a system of growing different crops on the same land in a certain order to preserve the soil and get the best results. All right. He was into agriculture, and agriculture is the practice or science of working the land to raise crops and animals for food. And he was a master, a genius at that. Now, of course, agriculture deals with the most important thing, which we know is the soil. Can't have crops without soil, right? And soil is just another word for the layer of earth where plants grow. Now, the problem with the soil in the South was that there had been cotton grown on that land for so many years that the soil was no longer full of nutrients. And nutrients are a substance or ingredient that plants and animals need in order to live. So the soil was depleted. That means it was completely empty of any nutrients. And George Washington Carver's crop rotation allowed the soil to be renewed. All right. So if you got that in 4 tries, that means you got it on the first try. Well, well done. All right, so we are going to practice with a short video and we'll kind of talk about what we'll see here. Now, this next one, we knew that George Washington Carver, like I said, was a scientist. He was an educator and he definitely knew the importance of education. Now, after struggling for his own education, he was denied entrance to schools because of the color of his skin. He dedicated his life to teaching others. Carver spent his life being curious and seeing wonders in the natural world. He was a well rounded learner and a student of art before he pursued agriculture, and he continued to paint as an adult. Now, on the next slide, hopefully, you'll be able to see the video about George Washington Carver's life. We will have another one that will, let's see here. And let's see if I can quickly pull up the YouTube so you'll be able to actually see this one. ttf.youtube. Actually, youtubetu.be backslash EOW S4TCBM6M. Cross my fingers that this works, and it does. Okay, great. So I want to make sure that you are able to hear it and see it as well. Okay.
Rain. On a farm where he lived, he was eager to know about all vegetation and what made it grow. A college degree. He became a professor, but wished to know. And meanwhile, charcoal, linoleum, plastics, and glue, hand lotion, soap, even peanut shampoo. He made peanut butter for mixing with jam, and then did motor wonders with soybeans and yams. His remarkable talent for flair and invention soon brought him the nation's admiring attention. But praises and fame never went to his head. He was always devoted to learning instead. He never had much, yet he reached for the sky. George Washington Carver was one brilliant guy.
All right, so that was our quick overview of Mr. George Washington Carver. So many uses with peanuts, peanut butter, um, peanut candy, peanut for medicine, peanut for cheese. all types of things. Do you like peanut butter? I absolutely love peanut butter as a snack. So let's see what we know in a short way here. So, what are some ways that George Washington Carver, for innovations that we can say came from him? And how did these innovations benefit him in society? And that is definitely
Three names, George.
all
Three
right.
names.
Well, that doesn't want to play for us again. So we know that near the end of the Civil War, that's when he was born. We know that, of course, he was born as a slave. His parents were stolen from him, and so was he. But his owner was able to get him back and made sure that he was educated. And he actually attended a school. Okay? He knew exactly how to care for these crops. It shows here his first laboratory. He was a teacher at Tuskegee, which was a historically black is down in the South. And here is where he really experimented with crop rotation and learning how to plant peanuts and sweet potatoes so that the soil, the nutrients in the soil would return, and that the cotton crops had depleted from the soil. So that crop rotation was really importantly one of his great inventions was crop rotation. That so we can write that down as one of the things that we have crop rotation. All right, definitely. And how was that beneficial? It showed southern farmers how to replenish nutrients, that's that new word we learned, in the soil by um, planting other crops in rotation. So that's how that crop rotation was super important. He developed all types of uses for the peanut. So it's like, yeah, we've gotten all these peanuts, right? Developed over 300 uses for the peanut. And this was candy, butter, medicine. I believe they even said something about, oh, the one with the yams, with his discovery of over not 300 uses for the yam, but he definitely found some uses for the yam and the soybean as well. And he was able to make things like shampoo, a type of glue, and so many other products. And of course, he was a teacher, right? His innovations as a scientist, oops. So his innovations and discoveries in his science lab contributed so much to the field of agriculture and medicine. Okay, so truly an innovator and a pioneer. And let me spell medicine right. That'd be great, right? Don't want that one back. I just want this one back so that I can spell the word correctly. Okay, well, those are some innovations that we got from Dr. Carver. And we're going to just hit submit there. And if you were watching me now, I would be able to show you my answers just like that. Okay. All right. So, a quick quiz for us to see how well did we remember the information. So, there are four questions. Our first one, cotton was a popular crop grown in the South. What did George Washington Carver know about cotton? Well, A, cotton would soon be replaced with polyester. B, cotton takes the nutrients out of soil. C, cotton crops could be successful year after year. If you chose letter B, number two, after George Washington Carver was the first black student to graduate from Iowa State, he went on to teach at what school? We have A, the University of Alabama, B, Missouri State University, C, University of Kansas, or D, the Tuskegee Institute. Which one? Hmm. I'm going to go with D, the Tuskegee Institute. Next, we have question number three. One of Carver's ideas was to rotate crops. He suggested farmers could return nutrients to the soil if they planted and grew which two crops? Was it A, sweet potatoes and peanuts, B, potatoes and green beans, C, corn, beans, and squash, or D, strawberries and pecans? Two of my favorites. But the correct answer would be A, sweet potatoes. Finally, true or false? George Washington Carver built a school on wheels to teach his methods to farmers out in the fields. A, true, or B, false? If you are thinking A, true, you would be correct. And we're going to submit our answers and let's see how we did. Correct, all four. Nice job. All right. Well, in case you did not get a chance to see that initial video, hopefully, what I have here, you will be able to um, see a video, some actual live pictures of Dr. George Washington Carver. So let's see. By rotating the crops, the soil stayed enriched. Carver's research and education into crop rotation helped the farmers of the South be more successful. It also helped to diversify the products that they produced. The peanut. Another problem for farmers was the boll weevil. This insect would eat cotton and destroy their crops. Carver discovered that boll weevils don't like peanuts. However, farmers weren't so sure that they could make a good living off of peanuts. Carver began to come up with products that could be made from peanuts. He introduced hundreds of new peanut products, including cooking oil, dyes for clothing, plastics, fuel for cars, and peanut butter. In addition to his work with peanuts, Carver invented products that could be made from other important crops. Carver became known around the world as an expert on agriculture. He advised President Theodore Roosevelt and the U.S. Congress on matters of agriculture. He even worked with Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi to help with growing crops in India. George Washington Carver was known throughout the South as the farmer's best friend. His work on crops, rotation, and innovative products helped many farmers to survive and make a good living. George died on January 5th, 1943, after falling down the stairs at his home. Later, Congress would name January 5th as George Washington Carver Day in his honor. So, interesting facts about George Washington Carver. Growing up, George had been known as Carver's George. When he started school, he went by George Carver. He later added the W in the middle, telling friends it stood for Washington. People in the South at the time called peanuts goobers. Carver would sometimes take his classes out to farms and teach farmers directly what they could do to improve their crops. His nickname later in life was the Wizard of Tuskegee. He wrote up a pamphlet called Help for Hard Times that instructed farmers on what they could do to improve their crops. And did you know it takes over 500 peanuts to make one 12-ounce jar of peanuts? Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's presentation of Dr. George Washington Carver. I hope you've learned some interesting facts that you can share with your family and friends. Be sure to join me here next time for our next installment of Black History Month celebrations. Again, I am Elle. Don't forget to go to that tiny URL right here that's highlighted, https backslash colon backslash tinyurl.com backslash LSR to leave your feedback about this presentation. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope to see you here soon. Stay safe, sane, and healthy.